Hey, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. I just got done shooting one for Patreon on choosing guns for beginners, so my mouth is a little bit dry. But something just happened out here that made me want to shoot this for you all right now before I get started on my day. First off, welcome to everybody. Welcome to everyone who's new, especially both on YouTube and on Patreon. If you'd like to join us on Patreon, that's a good decision. I cover a lot of stuff over there that I don't cover here, just like choosing handguns for beginners and things like that, and many other things. The way to get to it, somebody says you need to tell people how to get there. I'm sorry, I didn't even think about that. I always put the link down below on how to get over to the Patreon channel. It's $1 a month. Be a member. You get everything that's on YouTube plus a whole lot of other stuff. I don't have levels. Just $1 gets everything for you. Love to have you. It's a great environment over there. I tend not to get the silliness over there that I sometimes get on YouTube. And that's why I keep more of the stuff over there. I just get tired of having to come in and weed the garden of the stupid comments, especially. Well, it doesn't matter. I just get it's a very good environment, and if you want to get deeper into this, if you want more information, you'll like it. It's right above the links to my books. If you want to get my books, either through Amazon or directly from me autographed, those links are down there too. Okay. Excuse me. Why do cops get their butts kicked and shot and killed? I've addressed this before, so it is for cops, not for the old codgers who already know all this stuff, but for the younger people. But it really is a lesson for everyone. I was out here petting the dog, having a cup of coffee on my back deck, and all of a sudden, woo! The sirens hit, man, and flashing lights come down the street there. And I live on a kind of a busy thoroughfare here. Why don't you live in the country? Because I like living here. Thank you. Woo. Pulls over a car right where I can see it, right out here on the road. So I'm watching, because about, I don't know, a year, 2 years ago sometime, we had a cop killed just 6 blocks up. I live in a very nice area. It doesn't sound like it, does it? I live in a very nice area, but this just goes to show these things can happen anywhere. And this cop up there, he was a 15-year veteran. He'd been in a shootout before, and pulled over a guy for traffic. Ended up getting in a gunfight. You know what the guy was? I forget what the guy was. Either a dentist or a stockbroker who killed him. Right? Not your typical, you wouldn't think, right? Yeah, right up there. They got a little memorial up there. So anyway, this is happening like blocks from where he was killed just a couple of years ago. So the squad car pulls up, the minivan, right? The minivan pulls over to the side immediately. The cop gets out. The sirens are still going. Well, first off, I don't know if they had not stopped first, but there's no reason to use your sirens, at first. New cops do that. I want to use the siren. Oh, first off, hit your lights. If they don't see it in a couple of, in a block or two, because people are busy, they're listening to the radio, they're talking to their kid. Then if they haven't seen you and pulled over, then you just give it a little blip, whoop. And if they still don't, you give them another blip, whoop. And then, if you got to light them up, and I don't mean light them up, I mean, if you got to give it some siren, that's fine. And as soon as you see them pulling over, you shut that siren off, because it bothers people. I mean, crying out loud. You're in the middle of a residential district, right? Well, this cop pulls up behind the car, lights going, of course. And nowadays, I mean, in my day, we had the little gumdrop bubbles on top. I remember I was one of the first that got a light bar. You know, we thought it was so cool. It was a bar all the way across the top of the book with alley lights and a light on each side to see down the alleys, right? Now, these cars, I mean, they look like spaceships, don't they? When these police cars turn on their lights, it's like, it give you seizures. So she pulls up, and siren's still going. Siren went on for like, seemed like an hour, probably 5 seconds, you know, just, and I go, man, okay, this is a new one. This is a new cop who she's looking over. I say she because I saw it to be a she. She's probably didn't remember how to shut her siren off, or she's still trying to think how to call it in on the radio, or she's doing something. I don't know what world she's doing, but she's not turning off her siren. Anyway, it seemed like an interminable amount of time. Finally, the siren comes off. So I watch, just because. I mean, you know, they got the cop was killed up here. You never know what's going on. And so I'm watching, just in case the cop gets in trouble. Yes, I am going to go help. That's just who I am. So she gets out of her car, and she just walks up to that car, boop, 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 boop. Ponytail swinging back. You know how ponytails bounce back when the ladies jog? Just like it. Boop, boop, boop. She's walking right up there to the car, you know, not looking around, not looking in the back seat, not looking to the right, not checking anything. Boop, 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 boop. Right up to the window, stands right in front of the window, talks for a little bit, you know, talks, and then finally she comes back to her car. Boop, 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 boop. Ponytail going. Not looking back at the car, not backing away from the car, turns her back completely on the occupant or occupants, I don't know. And boop, 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 back in her car. I was so irritated. I came and I told Kelly, I said, I just see why cops get killed. The funny thing was, I just made a reference yesterday to the book a friend of mine wrote. What was the name of the book? I should have. It's about fighting. It's by Smokey West. It's James Smokey West. And he still teaches a lot of police as far as being aware. Well, you know, when I was on, most of the guys who came, well, everybody who came on of my age, we were street guys. I've said this before. We were street guys. We were careful. We knew what could happen like that. You develop a sixth sense, and you're always careful because you know, especially in the city, something can come up and bite you in a nanosecond. And I was always expecting everybody to try me in the next nanosecond. As a result of my being ready for it, it didn't happen as often as it probably would have otherwise. But I noticed that as younger guys started coming in towards the end of my time in uniform, we were getting a different kind of cop out there. These guys weren't off the streets. They were coming out of college. They were, for some reason, I guess that was the time that all the departments says, well, we need people to come from, you know, have a college degree. And so we were getting, you know, stone cold educated idiots out there, kids from the suburbs and kids who all of a sudden, you know, thought that law enforcement was a great career and had no street smarts, no ability to protect themselves. And when I would have young ones with me, I'd say, okay, my job is to keep you alive until you can keep yourself alive. And man, it took a lot to keep some of them alive, and some of them are washed out. But even at that, when it's not ingrained in you, when it's not something that you think about all the time, it can be situational. In other words, what I mean by that is that you can be careful when you're tuned in and telling yourself to be careful. But if you're not actively telling yourself to be careful, then that just goes by the wayside. Too often, and this applies also to normal preparedness and just being aware of your surroundings. Too many of the cops nowadays, they see their life as segmented. Don't worry, I'm going to get to how this applies to normal people too. when they're on duty, when they're on the job, they're focused in one direction, although not nearly focused as they should be, because that's why so many of them are getting beat up. They assume that people are going to be nice, not going to attack them, and realize, I'm sure that when she went through the academy, this one, she was probably told all the stories about Mike, I forget his last name, who was killed up here. She knows she's 6 blocks from where another cop was killed 2 years ago pulling over a car. Doesn't make a dent. Doesn't seem to get a hold of a brain cell in there. This is why so many cops are being taken out. Now, I know there's going to be somebody that'll say, but sometimes there are ambushes and snipers and say, yeah, well, yes, I know that. Thank you. We had those in our day too. And you were aware of it, see, and you dealt with it, and you were careful all the time. You weren't careful sometimes. You were careful all the time. But they're not. The lesson carries over, and it's going to keep happening. The world is becoming more dangerous again, and believe it or not, things are kind of going along the way they were in my day. So it's not like this is the most dangerous time there's ever been. It's not. But this carries over to the average person simply because most people aren't careful. Most people think it's a safe world. And even those people who, carry, even those people who are involved in preparedness, and I don't mean the ones who are, towards the paranoid end of the spectrum, who are always thinking, everybody's out to get me, I don't mean that. I mean the normal part of the spectrum between the paranoid and the totally clueless. They're not careful all the time. They're careful when they think about it. But if there's something else going on, we got to get to the soccer game, or we got to go into town. We got to get this. Darn it, we're out of bread. That's when they stop being careful, because care is not ingrained into their lifestyle, into their psyche. So I think the point here is you need to ingrain carefulness, along with awarefulness into your daily thought process. It really needs to be part of your, situational awareness. We just call that paying attention. Back before we wanted to sound all tactical. We were raised that way. Pay attention to what's going on around you. Crying out loud. You'll be hit by a car. Be aware. Be aware of the people around you. Be able to identify the types of people around you. Go into an unknown situation with care and slowly. There's no reason to hurry to, your demise, or hurry into anything that you're not sure about. So I think that's my lesson for today. Understand that it's too easy to let your carefulness and awarefulness slide. And it's important, and that's when I tell people, life happens, emergencies happen, bad things happen in the cracks. It's in that crack, like it's an accident, right? How does an accident happen? It's that split second they weren't paying attention. They were yelling at their kid in the backseat. They were adjusting the radio. They were looking out there. They were daydreaming, You can't be, in the world today, you can't be out to lunch at any time. You got to be tuned in all the time. So anyway, that's the message for today. I know most of you are super careful. If you find that you're not, if you find that you need to be tuned up on it, then do. It's not a matter of living in fear. It's not a matter of being paranoid, unless you are. It's a matter of always know exactly what's going on. You think a lion is paranoid, but a lion's careful, right? You think a tiger is paranoid? A tiger's careful. They know everything. That's why they move slowly, and they watch and they listen. Remember, we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And preparing well today means, if we need to, improving that awarefulness, right? Our psyche, have it always tuned in. You all have a great day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.